In this corner, weighing at 325 pounds, Hulk, the Crusher Hogan. In the tape, you can hear my ankle snap, and you guys are just laughing.
In our family, we laugh first and then make sure you're okay later.
Today we're sitting down with a man and his daughters whose journey is anything but ordinary. Adopted as an infant, raised on a ranch in eastern Washington, a self-confessed practical joker from the very beginning. He went on to serve in the military and work in law enforcement before an injury forced a complete reset. And that reset, well, that led him into broadcasting, into radio, into voice, more importantly, into entertainment. From being on air to building projects to now leading a production company built alongside his daughters. Today, he's developing a slate of original content across film, television, and audio. He's making a major announcement for the first time. Please welcome to the show, Mak Taylor and his daughters. Hello.
Oh, thank you so much, Dave. Thank you for having us on.
It's an absolute pleasure. I've been away. I haven't been doing this for a couple of weeks, and to come back, I don't usually have 4 people on the show, so to come back with 4 is just amazing. I love it. So before we go on, let's do a roll call, and in no particular order. Does everyone want to? Because I only introduced Mak there, and he's not the only important one here. So why don't we go around the table?
My name's Tania. I'm the second eldest daughter of Mak.
Tania, how do you spell that?
Well, it's spelled Tania, so it looks like Tanya. But, my parents like to just put one in.
All right, so we're gonna pause there. Mak, What's the meaning behind Tania? Where did that come from?
Oh, my goodness. Well, I had originally wanted to name her something different. I wanted to name her Tanya, but her mother wouldn't have that, so it was kind of settled on Tawny, and but the A is silent.
Right. So would you have preferred to Tanya or Tawny?
I would prefer it to be. Actually, I love my name. I love how it's spelled, and I don't have any problem correcting people. I also answer to various forms of how people want to phonetically say my name, I mean, I get a good laugh at it. My kids get a good laugh at it when we go to places. They're like, how are they going to pronounce your name today? So it's great icebreaker, like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're the first Tanya I've ever met in my life.
Okay,
so welcome.
That's memorable, right?
You see, you've nailed it. All right. Who wants to go next?
Well, do we want to go with weird spelling next? Because I think mine also is going to be in that category. I'm Mellysa. I am a family law paralegal in the Midwest, state of Wisconsin. And I've got a teenager and a 10-year-old and 2 wild and crazy dogs and a great husband.
I'm glad you added that in at the end there. He's probably sat there. He's like, well, what about me? Come on. I will note that if he watches this, you came after the dogs. I'm just saying, So, is your name spelt weirdly?
Oh, yeah. It's Mellysa. So they went, my mom and Mak went a little bit creative with that one too. And so it's especially fun on the phone too, because I have to go, my name is Mellysa, and it's almost like one sentence that I have to recite every single time. So,
Mak, what happened there?
I don't know. I think it was after one of the concerts. It's like, it's like, wow, this is going to really look cool. And it did.
There you go. Another talking point.
Absolutely.
And last but not least,
my name is Molly. Sorry to disappoint. They toned down for me. I'm new to Bend. Just moved here from Maryland with my fiance. And I work for some really great retinal surgeons.
Wow. So people who fix eyes?
Yes,
Nice. Have you fixed any eyes?
definitely not. No.
No. Have you seen? I've always been interested because you know how you see those videos on YouTube and the kids like see or hear for the first time. Do you get anything like that come in, or is it just like middle-aged guys who are trying to improve their vision?
No, definitely not. We've seen some incredible things, especially with people that I work for now. They really work miracles. It's incredible.
Awesome. I love it. All right, Mac, on to you, my friend.
Okay.
Adopted as an infant, growing up on a ranch, practical jokes. It's a pretty unique start. What kind of a kid were you like, really?
I don't know. You see, my parents never really understood me, never really understood where I came from as far as practical jokes come about. I think the earliest one I can remember is I was with my dad, and he was busy with the irrigation. And so I found a big boulder and I threw it in this canal and I screamed, like I had fallen in. And my dad is just panicking. He's running up and down calling my name. And he doesn't know what to do until he looks over and sees me hiding behind a tree, laughing. And, then he dispensed the justice that I was so well deserving of. But yeah, it definitely was worth it. But that wasn't the end of it. It continued on with various pranks, and I think I'm like many others, a product of the '60s, and growing up in that era, you have a different perspective. I wasn't raised with the internet or cell phones, so we had to keep ourselves amused.
What's he like as a father from that kind of analysis of being a child? Is he just as jovial, or?
The child is still there. Absolutely. The child never left. But we've all, I think, to a shocking degree, inherited that level of propensity for a good prank and irreverent sense of humor. What brings to mind is filming a home video, and my dad had taken a tumble down. They were, Tawny and my dad actually were running down this little hill into the orchards there.
We were filming a thing we wanted to go on Amazing Race. Sorry to interject.
Yeah, I was gonna let you get away. I was gonna avoid that, but my dad took a tumble because as funny and as pranky as he is, he's also a giant klutz, which we have also inherited. And he broke his ankle, and I'm holding the camera, and I just start dying laughing. And it became one of those like home videos that we watched over and over. Is dad just like, you can't see anything. It's nothing like, disturbing and gross, but it was just, that's kind of like our sense of humor in a nutshell as a family. And we do have quite a few of those home videos where dad is freaking out about something, and he's the unintended star of the show.
Well, rightly so, because in the tape you can hear my ankle snap, and you guys are just laughing. You're just laughing your heads off, and I'm laying there, my ankle's puffed up the size of my head in pain, and they're just rolling on the ground laughing. Anyway, yeah, it is genetic.
In our family, we laugh first and then make sure you're okay later.
And then laugh again.
Priorities.
Yeah.
We're laughing, but we're also asking, are you okay?
Yeah.
Can I just ask, does that work in the retinal care industry as well? Because I can't imagine people are going to like that too much.
No, definitely not. I've learned.
I saw that. Snap.
There we go.
So, but that's, I mean, that is your own fault, Matt, because you raised them to be comical.
That I did, but like I said, it's all genetics. It's all genetics. My bio dad and all of them were big jokers.
Did you make it to the Amazing Race? Did the video get sent in, or a video?
It got sent.
It got sent in. We didn't make it.
We didn't make it.
Oh,
Yeah, I know.
man.
Hey,
So
it would have been
close.
hard.
Should
with
have
your
sent the
foot.
ankle.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, what I'm hearing here, that's really interesting. So was that an influence that you wanted to impart, Mac, of videos and making movies and doing that kind of stuff from an early age? Or was that something that you ladies picked up automatically and were driven towards out of curiosity?
I can't say they were driven toward it. In fact, anything but. Although they would pick up, they would come to the radio station with me or the production studio, when they were younger, and get on the air, not on the air, but they would do their own radio spots and stuff, to a degree. But I was kind of happy that things have come around, and they want to be a part of this journey again. So that's really fulfilling.
Did you meet any famous people when you were at the radio station? Anyone? Was there a lot of people coming through?
Oh yeah, quite a few people. Gosh, I was working a station just outside of Seattle, and Kurt Cobain and Nirvana, his bandmates, came there with their demo tape before they had been signed. They were looking for airplay. Chris Cornell with Soundgarden went on to, super fame. Same thing. They all swung by the radio station and tried to get some airplay. So, beside that, it's like everyone. It's, I probably forgot more than I remember.
It's a similar story. I was talking to, it was a couple of weeks ago, Elias Reedy was on the show, and he's the lead guitarist from the Red Jumpsuit Apparatus. And his story was the same. His father was in radio, and he met Billy Ray Cyrus, Miley Cyrus. He met a plethora of like different artists through his childhood growing up. And I'm curious as to, what was that like for you girls growing up? If you're meeting these people, what was the kind of influence that you found from that? Did you find any, or were you all inspired to be radio jockeys, or how did that work?
Well, I always looked up to my dad. From a very young, like 4 or 5 years old, I was in his DJ sound booth, recording myself, acting like I was just like him. And so seeing him meet these people and kind of brush shoulders with everybody, it's very awe-inspiring. It didn't make me, because I'm more of an introvert, it didn't, necessarily like make me want to pursue that path. Like currently I'm a educational staff assistant that's going back to I'm getting my teaching degree. But my dad is very, very talented. And when he brought this to the table, I jumped on it right away, because anything that I can do with my dad, it's a definite yes. Anything artistic wise, he's got it. So
I love that. You guys are all so close knit. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I can't say the same with my brother, but you guys are amazing. So, Mac, tell me about this. So you go from school, you go to the military, then you go to law enforcement. I mean, that's a serious path to go down in one direction, to be able to take the absolute turn in the road that you did. What was it like? What were you thinking back then? Was that going to be your career? Were you going to be a long-term military or police enforcer? Or
at the time, Dave, that's exactly how I had pictured my life, was continuing on through law enforcement in, some capacity or another, until, unfortunately I was injured and had to step back and reevaluate what my career was going to look like. I'd had several people say, geez, you have a nice voice. You should really be on the radio. And me still being young and dumb, I thought, yeah, you know what? You're right. So I walked into a radio station and up to the general manager, and I said, I want to be a radio announcer. And obviously he's laughing, but he humored me. He took me back to the production booth and he handed me a stack of commercial copy, turned on the reel-to-reel. He said, read the copy, hit this button when you're done, and we'll get back to you. And and later I'm thinking, oh man, this is the classic Sugarloaf song. Don't call us, we'll call you. But I did it, and it was 3 days later I get a call, and they offered me a weekend gig. And I believe it was 2 weeks after that they moved me to middays, and it was just a very short while, a month or so. I was doing afternoon drives. And it was absolutely fantastic. There hasn't been a moment in my life that I've regretted, that choice that I made. That was forced upon me, but I willingly accepted the alternative. It led me to all around the country. Meeting great people, and this is prior to the internet, grant you. And so when the general manager of a radio station comes in, he says, all right, we're changing formats. You guys are all out. So you go home, you open up the trade publications, you send them your air check tape, your cassette tape. You get a hold of the program director on the phone, you talk to him, and, fingers crossed, you're going to be moving within a short few days, and which we were. And my wife and I were experts at packing and moving very quickly.
Wow. What was that like as kids? Because, moving very quickly, losing friends and connections, and then having to remake them. It's good in some instances because it's strengthening, but in others, it's quite distracting and disturbing.
It can be tough. It, certainly depends on what point you're doing it in your childhood. It's, I think it's difficult no matter what age, but, the younger you are, I feel like there's a little bit more resilience there. We had a couple moves when I was a teenager that were really tough, but, I had a really strong, love for, theater. And so that was my big thing is, wherever I went is just, okay, well, I can find my bearings there. As long as I can settle down there, I can get in with the theater group, I'll be fine. And it was, it's certainly tough, but I would never have met my husband if we had not made one of those late teenager moves. Happened to meet him during a very short period of time where we were, in California. And, you just kind of collect experiences that way and, broadens your horizons a little bit, and you kind of just collect people and friends, and you have a wide support network, wider than you would if you were just kind of in one place.
And Mak, you said, I think we're just going to have to clear up for the younger folks here what reel to reel is, because I understand that, but there's a lot of people who might be watching this who have no idea what you're talking about.
The celluloid tape, right? It's all analog recording at that time. And then if you were going to edit, of course there was no digital editing. So you had your splice block, you laid the tape out on it, you queued it up. Okay, that's it. You marked it with your grease pencil, you laid it out on the block, you razor cut it, and then you edited out that section of it, splice tape, put it back in, cue it up. Seamless. Same with throwing a record on the table. You would cue it up, and that's where the term cue burn comes from. Is you've cued that that record up so many times, you have a little burn or a deep scratch in there. So you'd have to just cue it up past that, hit the go on it, and you're in good shape. And then of course it evolved into music on carts, which were similar to 8 tracks, but far better format for that.
So you've been doing the radio, you've been moving around, and then you go into voice acting?
Yes. Yeah.
So what change led to that? Was there an opportunity that came up, or what was the particular projects you were looking at?
There was. It was an opportunity that I'd been taking advantage of because, when you're on air, my shift was 4 hours, and then I probably had another 3 to 4 hours of production. And then you're always open to other gigs, right? So you're either doing voiceover or you're doing personal appearances, or, and in my case, one of the opportunities was ring announcing and on-camera color and commentary for the WWF, World Wrestling Federation, at that time before they changed to the WWE. But and that was another experience altogether, meeting those cats. It was just, it was amazing. But,
Who did you introduce?
And I kind of get off track here, but I started doing voiceovers and voice acting. And, as I kind of built up my book of talent, then I started thinking, well, why can't I do this myself instead of going in someone else's studio? And so we just started acquiring the necessary equipment, and I already had the contacts, and so it facilitated a lot easier flow into that business, which then of course led me to other things and where we're at now. But sorry, Dave.
Yes, no, we're going to come to all of that. So let's go back. I'm fascinated by the WWF. So who were you introducing? So did you get Hogan?
Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, I believe the Undertaker was.
Randy. Okay, so we're 88 then, round about that area, I'm guessing.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that picture of Dad with Randy Savage that is a staple in our house. Everybody knows that picture.
I know, right?
I will see that picture in close my eyes at night and I can see it perfectly.
Great people. Absolutely great. The kindest people you would have ever met. So
give us an announcement then. Give us your best Hulk Hogan Randy from back in the
goodness,
day.
Dave, you're putting me on the spot.
Come on, Mac, you've got this.
You can put him on the spot.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, in this corner, weighing at 325 pounds, Hulk, the Crusher Hogan. Oh my goodness!
I love it.
Oh my goodness! Did the weather show you earlier? So
I know. Well, that was before recording. No one got to see that, so we had to have something. Wow, that must have been so much fun. Did you girls go along with him to the shows, to the wrestling, or?
That was
no
time. No, unfortunately, would have loved that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there were some things and some venues that, I just didn't want them being a part of. There's certain things that, want to insulate them from.
Yeah. Well, you girls have been really young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Around that time I was probably 8 or 9, and to be honest, I wasn't really into wrestling, so that wouldn't have been my gig. But he did get us into some good concerts. So I mean, so it was a trade-off, like you can go do that, but as long as I can go here, So
what was the best concert he got you into? Can you remember?
Back then, my first concert, it was, and I am a little salty because, it was back with Tiffany and Debbie Gibson. And me and my sister really wanted to go to Tiffany because she was the it girl, and we didn't really like Debbie Gibson, but Dad got us tickets to Debbie Gibson. And yeah, I got to touch her hand. I will never forget that. It was, I mean, phenomenal. So, I mean, that's
We can let it all out. We can turn this into a counseling session. I don't mind. So, Mac, what was going on at that time for you?
Oh my gosh. Oh my
Why
gosh.
is she just Tiffany?
Yeah, all the other girls got Tiffany. I got Debbie Gibson.
Yeah.
Was there anyone else? Any other big names you got to go and see?
We got to go see Tim McGraw when he was young.
Oh, I love
Just
Tim McGraw.
now, you know, I mean, there was
Saw Martina McBride back when she was pregnant with one of her little ones. That's one I remember.
yeah, the Michael Bolton. There was
Mm-hmm.
oh, I can't think of his name, but there was another one. But yeah, just really fun experiences, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. So Mac, you're thinking, all right, why should I do this for someone else? I can do it for myself. So you start to formulate a plan around that about doing your own producing. And so you came back, started to get the equipment. How did that all formulate? Did it start to work out immediately? Did you start to make any progress, or was it a slow, soft burn along?
It was a struggle, Dave, really. I anticipated it to be a lot easier than it was, but, you know, and that was my own ignorance or whatever. But yeah, it was a struggle. Even though I had so many contacts in the industry, there are certain walls that you have to climb yourself. You know, there's no one letting you in the door or you know, giving you a boost up the ladder. You struggle yourself, you pay your dues, and you either make it or you don't. And if you don't, then you get back up and you start climbing again.
All of your kids were young back then, so they weren't involved, or were you of an age where you were starting to become interested and involved?
No, they for the most part, they were isolated from it. You know,
Yep.
it's and the industry itself, from an outsider's perspective, you know, might seem all candy and lollipops, but it's really a tough industry to try to make your way through.
And do you think it's changed now? Because, I mean, if you were, that was, let's say, I don't know what year, let's say it's the 90s or wherever, where you're quite right. In terms of those doors and how you get through those doors is who you know and how you can present yourself to be able to build a relationship and get in. But nowadays, if you'd have been doing it in this day back then, do you think it'd be substantially different for you?
Yeah, I definitely do. And I don't think it would be any easier. You know, you have so much talent out there, you know, so much great talent. Not saying that there wasn't back when I started doing it, but, you know, there's so many actors competing for that one golden ring. And, you know, a lot of them get left in the dust, unfortunately. And with the advent of AI now, it's I don't know how that is going to shape things up in the entertainment industry.
I don't think anyone does right now, Mac. That is a golden question I've had with a lot of different directors, producers, and TBC. We're all waiting to see what happens. The problem and the quagmire we all face is, do we stop employing real actors? Do we stop employing real voiceovers? Do we start replacing them with AI? And then at what point does that end to how entertainment's watched, consumed, and how you get jobs in the industry anymore?
Yeah, it is definitely a slippery slope. You know, oh gosh, I can't remember his name. He was saying, you know, how Hollywood is going to have to change their metrics on this. You know, the big production days are kind of coming to an end, and I think what that does for our smaller companies is it allows us to go in, do micro budget films, do a lot of streaming, you know, programs, you know, that makes it a lot more viable than banking on that one mega hit. So
Yeah, no, I agree. So you've built a writer's room with your daughters?
yes,
How did that actually start?
absolutely.
How did it all come about?
Well, they had all, not collectively, they had all at some point approached me and said, I'd really love to do a project with you. And, so we kind of got them all together in the same room one time. And I said, yeah, let's do this. Let's bring all of our creative voices together and have a run at it.
What was the project at that time? What one was that one?
Oh, goodness. I believe that was in its infancy for Ghostwriter.
Ah, so not a question for you, Mac, a question for everyone else. How does that work, working as a family on a project? Because I just know from working with my family on a small project, not writing is painful. So how did it work for you collaborating?
Well, let's just get down into it. No, I'm just kidding. It's great. I couldn't imagine doing this with, people I wasn't so close to, because we are so very close knit. And we, I have my own, I came into this with my own level of interest and experience with creative writing, with theater, with my love for that, those art forms, and same with my, my sisters and my cohorts here, the being able to put our brains together and come up with things that, I think the connection makes it easier because we are not afraid to call each other out on our stuff. Ego has to be checked at the door, and that's any project where you are, working creatively with other people. But I think the benefit here is that, where people who are not so close may be a little bit hesitant to really dig deep and really, sometimes it's twisting the knife to get a really good product, and dig into those and really get at each other's throats and get painfully into this so we can work through it and come out with something that we're all proud of, we're all happy with, just an excellent end result. That's where that excellence comes from, is the fact that we work so well together and we're not afraid to push each other. And equally so, we are each other's biggest cheerleaders. We're constantly, and for good reason, because, everybody here is very talented, but hyping each other up and making sure that we're all confident. And, and it's not always knock down, drag out, that's only sometimes, but, when it's necessary. And then other times, we just get into a groove and the time flies, we're just on the same wavelength.
Does the time ever stop? And the way I mean that, as in, say you are all together doing this. Most projects, people come together, they work on it for 8, 10, 12 hours a day, and then they go home, detox, come back the next day, and they're like, okay, let's start this again. I thought about this overnight. But you guys are all going to be together. So I'm guessing like you're cooking at night and someone's like, oh, I've got a different idea. Does it continue on continuously?
Is that a question for me, Dave, or my girls?
That's to the group. I'm throwing that out.
Yeah, I'm 2,000 miles away from them, sadly. But I know that has, it's just as easy as getting everybody on FaceTime. Those of us, and I know Tani's a few hundred miles away as well. But it does add some convenience to it too, where you can you have these minds on tap at all times. We have our family group chats that kind of just turn into our, creative soundboards, or dad will call and say, hey, I've got this scene. Can I read this to you? And we'll just kind of, on the fly, work through that together and, okay, well, actually, let's do this. And, it's great just having everybody at our disposal at all times.
So each of your projects is different. So you've got Stoned Wood, you've got Reservation for Christmas, you've got Ghost Rider. Who's driving the creativity inside the team? Who's the main driving force?
I don't know if there's one driving force. There's each one of us will take the banner and run with it for whatever length, and then
what day is it? It will depend on the day for sure.
Let's pick Stoned Wood, for instance. That's such a specific small town mockumentary humor. Who came up with that idea? Where did it come from?
That was mine. We were in West Virginia, setting up for a documentary exactly like the setup for Stoned Wood, on cryptids. Just a paranormal, podcast we were going to be doing, and I seen this big boulder, down at the base of a hill right by the small town of Stonewood, West Virginia. And my mind, which is short-circuiting about half the time, it's creating this whole story around this boulder that I seen outside this small town. So it's like, okay, and the people in West Virginia, so amazingly, freakingly nicest people. When they came up to me and would just approach me, I'd be like, why are you being so nice? What do you want? And they don't want anything, just great people. But I knew that there had to be some connection, because they're not going to want to really open up to someone from LA, right? So I got a job out there, and I worked there. I interacted with them, so you can really do a deep dive and get to the roots of this community and what goes on. And that so helps your writing when you do, because you're becoming one of those characters or part of that community.
And Mac, you said you've got an announcement. Do you want to make an announcement? An exclusive?
I'll kick it off. You have the exclusive, Dave, but I'll kick it off. Then I'll let Mellysa kind of take it over and do the run with it. We are joining partnership with basically a distribution company. It's going to allow us to have expanded avenues for our creativity, our work that we're doing. And so we're partnering up with Pacific West Entertainment. And there you go, Dave.
Look at that.
It's
a drink from the other side now.
Advantageous to us all, not only to Two Crows, but it's going to open up and broaden our horizons as far as what content we're producing, and the diversity of voices. Missy, can you kind of jump in there and
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the primary mission that I would say for Two Crows in general is to to highlight and amplify these smaller indie productions and stories from small communities that really don't see a lot of don't get the attention they deserve and have their stories told the way they deserve. So it's allowing Two Crows to tap into those larger resources, and in order to really amplify these voices, and these stories that everybody needs to hear and just haven't had the opportunity or the resources to be told yet.
Are you going to be telling stories of the New Zealand small town?
Well, maybe. Let's take a flight out there and hang out with
that.
Dave
Is at the top of my list, number one. Genuinely, I'm a huge, massive Lord of the Rings fan, so that's really but I have a coworker who was just out there for a couple of weeks last year, and so it's at the top of my list. Absolutely. We'll go out there
Well,
and tell all the stories.
we're flooded with celebrities at the minute. We're filming the latest Hobbit movie in New
Yeah.
Zealand, so there's tons of celebrities floating around who are filming that. All of the original cast are back again, of course, so they're going to be
No.
featured in it. So it's pretty cool.
Yep. Yep.
Best time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It is. You have to go to Hobbiton.
Yes.
It's a real place.
Oh yes. I'll move in. They'll have to drag me out by the hair. That I will stay.
Oh, that's so cool. So what else have you got coming up in the future? What can we look forward to?
We have a Hallmark holiday romance drama. It's called Reservation for Christmas. It's about a recently widowed mother who is returning to her roots on the reservation. She has two young children. Her husband was in law enforcement. He unfortunately met a tragic end, and her going back to her roots, reconnecting, finds the person that she grew up with and was her husband's original partner on the tribal police force, and just all the conflict of love, loss, and finding love again. But I think where our story is a little different is it tells it from the Native American voice, and which is so underplayed, here in the States, and that then would flow into to a documentary and podcast that we're wanting to produce, which is Murder on the Res, Voices from the Shadows, following and detailing, a lot of the crime that takes place on a reservation that the outside world hears nothing of. I think this is kind of endearing to all of us, being that we grew up on a reservation and had those connections. So much like with West Virginia, you're tapping into your experiences and your connections with that particular group, so you have a deeper understanding maybe of what they're experiencing. And Tawny is very attuned with that.
Yeah, I'm very, very passionate about that. I think that focusing on the murder and missing Indigenous women and men, a lot of that it's greatly looked over and bypassed and not given enough attention in the news. And I don't live on the reservation right currently, but I live over the river from it, and I have friends that are Native American, and to see what they go through and their familial ties and how strong they are, and just to see the lack of representation or any real effort put into when these people go missing is very disheartening. And it's just growing up across the river, it's just something that has always tugged at my heartstrings. And so my dad and I have talked about this over the years numerous times, and so that's one project I'm really passionate about.
Why do you think it is that is still the case in this day and age? Why do you think that such a divide still happens when we've moved on however many years since the initial form of westernization, colonization, racism, slavery, all of that kind of disbanded? Right. Why do you think we still have that?
I think it just has never gone away, that they think that they're second-class citizens, like they a stigma is put on them. And so when people look at them, they look at them as less than. And you would think that you wouldn't have those perceptions. And maybe it's different if you don't grow up closely with them. But it's just the stigma around it is what I can see. And usually the missing people have, of course, like maybe possibly alcohol issues or drug related issues. And so, or, like they're living on the streets, and so a lot of times people look down on that, and they look at that as like, well, if they would have been doing right by themselves, they wouldn't be in that position. And it's almost like people think that it's what they deserve, and I can't wrap my head around it, because I just don't think that way. So I don't know why our country is like this. But it is very predominant here in Washington, and I know in Canada, and Montana, and it's just an epidemic. And I feel like we really need to start shedding a light more on it to get their voices heard.
Racism is a huge, massive part of this too. I mean, you have an underprivileged young white girl who goes missing or is murdered, and it is front page news. It is headlines for months, if not years, as the trial goes on. But there are so many, little girls from Native American communities, from Black communities, from Hispanic communities who go missing or are murdered or have horrible things happen to them, and you don't hear about them. And it's a glaring sign that, when there's no difference between the situations, there's no difference between their home life, their financial situation, their class. What it boils down to is this little girl is brown, and this little girl is not going to garner as much attention on the news as this other little girl who is white, who has gone missing, who's, yeah.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree with that. I think, one of the big things is, there hasn't been the advocacy, or the voices haven't been loud enough for the Native American community as it has for other minority groups. Even though they're far underplayed as well. The Native American community has been overlooked entirely, it seems, by comparison.
I think it's a global issue. If I look at Australia as a key example, with the Aborigines, the Indigenous people, exactly the same sort of treatment. I know there's been a lot of work to change it, but it still exists, and it's still there. I think we could do a whole podcast on this all on its own. And to be honest with you, I actually might be tempted. So there's a couple of FBI people who I've had on the show who we've talked about human trafficking, and we've talked to, and I think this would be a really interesting topic to dig into. So I might pull you back to have a conversation with them about that, and we could see where that path leads us to creating more awareness.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'd be definitely glad to join that discussion. But...
Yeah.
Well, that brought the tone right down. Let's bring it right back up. Let's get some energy. So that's one of the projects. Have you got any other projects coming up that you want to make us aware of?
Oh, let's see. Did we touch on Ghost Rider of Redemption?
We didn't touch on Ghost Rider Redemption. Why don't you tell us what Ghost Rider Redemption's all about?
Just a real quick gloss of it. It's set back in the 1880s in the fictional town of Redemption, Arizona. You have a young ranch hand who is African American, falls in love with a cattle baron's daughter, and he meets an unfortunate persecution and demise. After he reaches the afterlife, he is confronted by Death, who I envision being played by Sam Elliott. or someone of that depth. And he's given the choice. You can move on, or you can seek your justice. So he comes back, and justice is served.
Is it like the other Ghost Rider we're aware of with the flaming head?
Absolutely not. No, there's the difference is, or the similarity is.
Wait,
is
what?
only in its name.
Outta here.
It's not like the Nick Cage movie. All right. No,
I was
never
here for
knew.
the flaming helmet.
Matt just
and
came up
Nicolas
with
Cage.
the idea. He watched this movie, and then all of a sudden,
no. Actually, Dave, where I came up with this idea is, of course, you probably know I write music, and I had written this song, and I wish I had it in front of me, called "The Ghost Rider of Redemption," and I got thinking after I wrote it, I'm like, wow, that'd be a great, limited series, or something Netflix might dig on, and so we're starting to develop that. Who knows if the name is going to have to change or not due to legal issues, but we'll see where it plays out, right?
oh, guys, it's been amazing to have you on the show. What we're going to do is going to put your details somewhere on the screen. Now, Molly, you've been the quietest, so you get to pick where the details go. They can go up, down, right, left, up top, done. So all of the details for Two Crows and for Pacific West can be found right up there. The website, the details, everything. And we'll be able to keep you informed as to what's coming up and what you can expect in the future. Thank you, guys.